Good evening, everybody, and welcome back to Walks and Wall Street. Today is Monday. Hopefully you all had a good weekend. It is March 25th, 2024, and it's about 9:05 p.m. Eastern Time, and we are reporting live directly outside of the GM building, and we're looking across the street to the beautiful Plaza Hotel. So right here outside the flagship Apple Store. Now, there's a lot to talk about, and it's going to be a very, very busy week. Both not only on Wall Street, but yeah, unfortunately in the political environment as well. It's something we just have to deal with. So I guess we'll start off by saying this. Okay, as we all know, big breaking news today in the case against Donald Trump. He can now post a smaller $175 million bond in the civil fraud case. Now, that is down from the $454 million. Now, I know what you're thinking. Oh my God, Tom, why are you talking about politics? I know you never talk about politics. Well, I'll tell you why. And it is because tomorrow, okay, Truth Social will be hitting the exchange for the first time. Now, I believe the former president has over a 50% stake in the company. I think it's like a 58% stake in Truth Social. Now, currently, if you look at the ticker symbol DWAC, now that's the SPAC, so Truth Social's parent company is going to replace Digital World Acquisition. It's currently traded under the ticker symbol DWAC. It's going to replace it on the NASDAQ exchange and trade under a new ticker symbol, DJT. So it's going to be interesting. That's Donald Trump's initials, and Truth Social is going to be coming to market after many, many months of back and forth. That's going to hit the exchanges tomorrow. It's going to be interesting to see what happens here. Now, DWAC was up about 35% just today. Now, I don't have any positions in the company. I don't even use Truth Social. I've never even been on the website. But it's important to kind of focus here because the president's set to make like almost $4 billion from this, which is really astonishing. And it comes at a pretty opportune time from him now that he has to pay out so much money. So I'm going to add it to the watch list. I'm very curious to see how this company is going to perform from a financial perspective, right? As it goes through earnings, is it going to meet its expectations? Is it going to bomb? We'll see. And just to kind of be unbiased here, I don't know. I don't use Truth Social. Maybe I'll have to just check it out. I don't know, but I think everybody should be aware of that tomorrow because that is going to be hitting the exchanges. Now, moving on from that, okay, today is going to be a shortened week of trading on Wall Street because Friday is Good Friday. So for all of those who observe Good Friday going into the Holy Week of Easter, hopefully you all have a wonderful, beautiful, blessed weekend for all those who celebrate Easter. But there is going to be major economic data and major economic news coming out on Friday, March 29th. That is going to be the Federal Reserve's preferred inflation measure. The PCE index is going to be coming out at 8:30 a.m., as well as the core PCE. A little bit later on in the day on Good Friday, 11:30 a.m. to be exact, we are going to hear from the Fed chair again, Jerome Powell, at 11:30 a.m. Hopefully he makes some comments on inflation. After the FOMC meeting that happened last week, a little bit too dovish for my liking. Markets took off to the races, and they actually followed through a little bit today. Other pieces of economic news that we're going to be getting at through the week, which we will be covering right here on Walks and Wall Street. Initial jobless claims are going to be coming out on Thursday. We're going to get the Chicago Business Barometer, or the PMI. And then we're going to get pending home sales at 10 a.m. on Thursday as well, and then finish off with some personal income and personal spending as we make our way through Good Friday. All right, let's go ahead and check in on futures here, everybody. We'll look at the S&P 500 E-mini futures contract. that trades under the ticker symbol ES. We're about flat, up about 7 points. S&P is trading at 5,286. Now for the Dow 30, the Dow Jones Industrial Average, we're flat, up about 44 points, 39,744. Now this is interesting because we're only a stone's throw away from the big 40,000 on the Dow Jones Industrial Average. This is crazy because if we go all the way back to the pandemic, okay, 2020, the Dow bottomed all the way back in March of 2020. I remember that. It was like, I've never seen the world in more chaos than March of 2020. Anyway, the Dow Jones Industrial Average, guys, bottomed at 18,066. I mean, what progress have we made? Unbelievable progress. Since the COVID lows, I'll give you the exact print. The Dow Jones Industrial Average has now rallied over 21,927 points, or about 120%. Now, we're right outside of the Sherry Netherland Hotel. We always talk about Jesse Livermore, those big round numbers. I think we're going to ring the register into 40,000 Dow before the summer. All right, last but not least, let's take a look at crude oil. We've been watching that. Crude is trading at $82 a barrel. So with that being said, everybody, I'm going to go ahead and close up the laptop. Feel free to click the like button and the subscribe button, and we will get started. Thank you all for joining. All right, let me clip the microphone on here. I feel like there's a lot of news that needs to be discussed. Lots of news that needs to be talked about. It's like a firestorm on Monday. Like so many things popping off. It's been kind of crazy. Anyway. All right, let's see who we got in the chat. I see Sunshine After Rain. What's going on? Thomas Conroy. Lance. Welcome, welcome. Ivan. Good to see you. Joe E. This is good evening, Tom and team. Stan, thanks so much. Justin, what is going on? That's true. Yeah, Thursday is also the last trading day of the first quarter. It's a very good thing to note for sure. Last trading day of the month too. We'll see how that prints. Lark, what's going on? The ABX girl from the Bronx, welcome. UniJ23. And Brad, what's going on? Says I'm buying some. I got to have the ticker DJT in my portfolio. Yeah, it's going to be really interesting to see how this all plays out. Now, I know I've said this a million times, but, with this deal going through, aside from it being, the president's deal, yada, yada, we've been having a lot of new issues come on and some pretty big and notable new issues as well. We brought public Reddit. This activity really started as we're looking down Fifth Avenue here. I would say the biggest break that kind of flipped the switch in the market to kind of open up the IPO market was ARM, honestly. That deal getting done really set the tone and essentially opened up the markets for more deals to get done. So I think this is going to be a good year. We've kind of beat that into oblivion. So look, this is what we want to see during bull markets. During bull markets, you have lots of companies coming public. You have a big pickup in M&A activity, and I think that's what we're going to continue to see. Now, I know nothing about the Truth Social stock, like zero. I don't know any of the financials. I don't use the platform, but maybe we'll have to pay attention to that. It's going to be funny, right? I'm sure all those Redditors are going to be all over that thing. DWAC is the ticker, but tomorrow it's going to start trading under the ticker symbol DJT for the initials of the former president. And this comes at a time when he had to pay about, At first, he had to pay about $495 million. That came down to about, $175 million? The president's probably in Trump Tower right now as we speak. Anyway, Alan says, are you looking into joining Truth for market research more than anything, just to see how it works? I think so. I think I will join it just to kind of look around and kind of get a gauge on if this thing is really going to take off. There was a Wall Street Journal article that came out today. It did seem a little bit biased. I try my best to leave all of my personal political opinions and biases out of things. But from what I know, right, and I have an open mind, what I know is that, and again, Truth Social seems to be a little bit of an echo chamber of just Trump supporters and conservatives. Right now, I don't know anything about the actual user numbers. Now, maybe this thing is extremely profitable. I have no idea. I've never looked into it. But even from a business standpoint, I think it's always good just to be curious. I think curiosity is a good thing. The old saying is curiosity killed the cat. I don't agree with that. I think you need to be extremely curious and experimenting with many things. And who knows, maybe this will open up other avenues. Maybe this thing will actually have, good use cases. But there's a lot of competition now. In my view, Elon Musk and X, I really do believe that they are going to be successful in building the one-stop shop for everything. We're going to be looking back on this moment in 10 years saying, wow, X really turned the entire thing around, and it's going to be a one-stop shop for news. It's going to be a one-stop shop for payments. It may turn into like a fintech company. You never know. So we'll see. Malcolm says it's always positive when more companies are listed. Diana, what's going on? Good to see you. Justin S., thanks for joining. This is the Plaza Hotel. It's finally warming up a bit, but the wind is still brutal. I don't know what's going on in New York. It seems as if we're like in a windstorm for the last 5 days. Anyway, that's another piece of news I'm seeing a lot of people talk about in the chat. Boeing CEO stepping down. I mean, guys, honestly, what a horror show that is. What an absolute disaster Boeing has been. Now, again, I'm not an expert on aviation. I'm not an engineer. That's not my background. Now, the question I have for the audience in the chat is the following, okay? Are these issues with Boeing? It seems like every time I get a notification on, Wall Street Journal, Reuters, every time I turn on the TV, honestly, or look on Twitter, I see something wrong about mechanical problem on a Boeing 737, a door ripping off on a Boeing 737 or whatnot. It seems so frequent. My question is, do these things just always happen? But since we're so connected now on social media and everything is scrutinized under a spotlight, any little thing that happens, we just know about it automatically? Or is this really like a massive concern? Because it's gotten to the point where I'm actually starting to filter out Boeing 737s on kayak.com. I'm not sure if you guys knew this, but if you're booking a flight on Kayak, you can go into the filter settings and filter in or out specific aircraft that you want to fly. I learned that from somebody I follow on Twitter, but I don't know. The whole thing just seems like really, really strange, and the company seems like an absolute disaster. Yeah, Anna says they recently had the wheel casualty. The wheel fell off. I mean, don't they have engineers that check these things? Don't they have mechanics that do very thorough checks before these planes take off? It's like what is going on here? Again, I'm not an engineer. I don't know, but Ali Star says, could these just be basic maintenance issues, not necessarily with Boeing? Maybe. I don't know. But CEO is out. DC322 says Boeing is a complete mess. Yeah, the CEO and 2 execs are resigning. I wonder if there's going to be any intense litigation there, because this just seems like way too out of control. Christian says Boeing pushed on production over safety. And Ali Star says, does Boeing outsource the maintenance? That's another thing. Yeah, Jeff W277 says, if you said 5 years ago that in 2024 General Electric would be going gangbusters while Boeing would be a disaster, yeah, people would think you're crazy. Now, Larry Culp really turned that company around, like in a major way. And I think they had a bunch of spin-offs too. There's a good follow on Twitter, if anybody is on X, Twitter, X, whatever. Man, I'm blanking on the Twitter handle. Anyway, he's this really, really good money manager. He just did a TED Talk. Jim Osman, that's his name. And he always writes about spin-offs. And he did a big deep dive into Boeing and exactly the reasons why he thinks Larry Culp turned that company around. I mean, it's extremely, extremely impressive, right? TK Porsche says the wheel falling off is not a maintenance issue, not a manufacturing defect. Boeing is not responsible for maintenance. The airlines are. Oh, is a maintenance issue, says TK Porsche. Copy that. Yeah, look, I mean, with the media's scrutiny over Boeing, any little thing or factoid that they can get their hands on, they're just going to eviscerate the company. So that I get. Not to excuse Boeing. I mean, there's been, I don't know, I think we should be able to blame them for the doors ripping off and stuff. But look, we'll see. I'm not too sure what's going on, but hopefully they'll get better management. Now, we're on the other side of Central Park South. You're looking at 50 Central Park South. This is the Ritz-Carlton Hotel and Tower. Beautiful Art Deco, kind of like a layer cake design. And then right here, you have 106 Central Park South, which is Trump Park. This is a really nice building. Very, very nice building. We'll wait for the light and then we'll walk down 6th Avenue. TK Porsche says the Boeing CEO is staying on till year end of 2024, enabling the board to conduct a careful search for a new CEO. In the meantime, a new president has been named. We'll see how the stock reacts tomorrow. Yeah, I saw that too. It seems like there's a lot of interesting and strange news going on. I did see that right as I got up off my desk. Hold on, hold that thought. Guys, look at this cool full moon right here. Right in between the Sherry Netherland Hotel. Beautiful. Yeah, it appears that Sean Combs, or P. Diddy, has fled the country. Again, I like to call this the fog of war phase. Nobody really knows what's going on. There was some horrible allegations against him, but, yeah, it's crazy, crazy, crazy stuff. I don't know. I don't understand all the Hollywood craziness. There was this documentary that came out about Nickelodeon and Disney, or I think just Nickelodeon. And it talks about how these child stars are treated, and it's really quite disturbing. Now, my question is, isn't there any parental oversight here? No, I didn't watch any of the documentaries. I can't watch them. But, if you're a kid, right, if your child is a talented actor or something, right, and they get signed by Nickelodeon or the Disney Channel, I mean, they're minors if they're under 18. Now, doesn't that mean you need parental supervision if you're going to be working as a minor? I don't know. I mean, do these parents just let their kids, waltz on set willy-nilly with no supervision or oversight? I don't know how it works. I've never been involved in that stuff. So, yeah, apparently a lot of that stuff is going on with Sean Combs. Really sick stuff. But look, we'll let the authorities kind of handle that. Yeah, even though it's non-finance related, it's just strange. Hey, Dan Sang, what is going on? Thanks so much for joining us. Says, I think the parents at that point would just keep their eyes half closed after seeing the amount of money being made. Maybe. I mean, if it was my kid, I wouldn't care how much money there. I don't know. Who knows? NBA Elias says, instead of having stock buybacks and catering to shareholders, Boeing needed to return profits into the business to hire the best engineers and managers. Yeah, there's been a lot of politicians that have been very, very, very critical of stock buybacks. I would say the biggest critic of share repurchase programs have been broadly, the Democratic Party, but Elizabeth Warren specifically. Now, this year, I believe, is the first year that all new share repurchase programs are going to be subject to a 1% excise tax, I believe. I think that just started at the beginning of the year. Now, there was a lot of analysts that came out, to NBA Elias's point, and said, oh my gosh, if this excise tax goes through, it's just going to absolutely take share buybacks to zero, and it could have a big impact on the financial markets. Well, turns out that never happened. And corporations are more than happy to pay the tax and launch these massive share repurchase programs. Now, I'm not necessarily against share repurchase programs. Many people believe that, stock buybacks make management focus on short-term gain at the expense of long-term innovation, right? Is all of that money, right? Let's say if you buy back, $1 billion worth of stock and you issue a dividend of, a quarter. I'm just making an example. Would that money be better used to pile into R&D or research and development? Now, maybe. However, I still think companies are very, very efficient. Now, is there some greed going on? Obviously, right? I would say that's quite obvious. But there's only so much money that you could drive into research and development. And I think specifically in the tech world, this is the 57 grill. In the tech world, I think companies do a pretty good job. Apple, Microsoft, and the like. But, essentially, share repurchase programs return value to shareholders in a more tax-efficient way. And Warren Buffett wrote a really good piece about this. The building we're looking at right now is 111 West 57th Street. This is the skinniest residential apartment building in the entire world. But Warren Buffett wrote a really interesting piece about the tax efficiency between share buybacks and dividends. So here it is. Now, if a company issues a dividend, that's a taxable event. You got to pay taxes on that. However, if a company takes cash on their balance sheet and starts to purchase shares of their own stock, they don't pay taxes on that because there's no taxable event. Essentially, what that does is it reduces the overall amount of shares outstanding, thus inflating the earnings per share, if that makes sense. And that's one of the biggest metrics that investors look for how much earnings are you getting per share of stock you own? Again, I want to be clear. I don't think share repurchase programs are evil. I think anything in excess can go astray, and that's why governments have kind of clamped down on it and have made share repurchase programs subject to these new 1% excise taxes. Oh, we just passed the Russian tea room. That full moon is almost like the sun. And crazy. Lena Sandoval, thanks so much for joining us. Stefan D, good to see you. Angel, what's going on? Dutchman. RB says, evening, Tom. What's going on? Cape Cod says, Tom, did we talk about Trump's bond being reduced already? Just joined. Yeah, so we briefly did speak about that, and the reason why we did speak about that is because tomorrow is going to be the official first day of trading for the Truth Social social media platform that I guess Donald Trump owns about 58% of, I think. Now, it's traded right now under the ticker symbol I think DWAC or something, DWAC, I don't even know. I don't really follow it too much. But that's a SPAC. It's a special purpose acquisition company, and it's going to merge into that new company, and it's going to be traded under the ticker DJT for the initials of the former president. Now, it was up 34% or something crazy today, sort of rallying into this not news, but the approval. So it seems as if the former president's going to make like $4 to $5 billion tomorrow. Connie, yeah, DWAC. Right. Now again, that's not liquid. It's not like he could just liquidate and he's going to get the cash. But I mean, look, anything helps. But today, to kind of get a little political, I believe Donald Trump is still in New York City, over on Fifth Avenue, and they reduced the amount of his penalty, I should say, from something crazy like $495 million down to like $175,000. NBA Elias says Elizabeth Warren, most of Congress would not know the difference between stock buyback and a stock purchase. Mach says, I don't hear about any issues with the Dreamliner produced in my hometown of Charleston, South Carolina. Maybe the workers in Washington. Well, I don't know. I mean, I'm not a big expert on Boeing, but apparently they outsourced a lot of their manufacturing capacity, right? Isn't that why everybody's claiming that we're having all these malfunction on the Boeing aircraft? Is because they, what's it called? They outsourced a lot of the production. Hey, JC, what's going on? TK Porsche is not of the penalty judgment rather than the amount of the deposit required to appeal the judgment. Copy that. Yeah, you guys know more about the Trump stuff than I do. I try my best to kind of not get wrapped up in it. But yeah, it'll be interesting to see how this plays out for sure. Now we're going to walk all the way to Broadway, and then we were going to head downtown. I'm really, really curious to see the volume tomorrow. We'll discuss it tomorrow night, but unfortunately, I think people are going to be all over this thing tomorrow, just trading it for the quote-unquote meme, so to speak, right? Now, I'd never advise that, but I think there's going to be a lot of those Redditors and the meme stocks, quote unquote, as the kids call it nowadays. I think people are just going to be buying this and trading this just a nonsense. So I'm curious to see what kind of volume comes in and out of this stock tomorrow. Just out of curiosity, we'll see. Who dat Dave's, Tom, I think you fully understand what is going on in these Trump situations for the most part, but I try not to keep up on every little tick and turn of the news, just because it's too distracting. And if you go down these Twitter rabbit holes, it's just people, eviscerating each other. Speaking of Trump, we're looking at the beautiful One Central Park West right here, which is the Trump International Hotel and Tower. Beautiful 5-star hotel, really nice hotel. I'd actually highly recommend it to anybody that's visiting New York. It's one of the best hotels I've ever been in my entire life. Connie's is not dump to nothing, but level out. Yeah, I mean, the thing is, I just don't even know what kind of financials that Truth Social is putting up. Like, what does anybody know, or maybe somebody could look this up out of curiosity? What are their annual revenues? Like, do they really have a huge, robust advertising business? And kind of what is the business model? Is it the exact same as X? Is it mostly text? Is there a video component? Or maybe on the train ride home tonight, I'll just create an account and look around. Just be a little bit curious about it. We're now headed up to Columbus Circle. Hey, Hawaii, what's going on? Thanks for joining us. Chris B says, how do you feel about the Association of Realtors lawsuit ruling? Yeah, we briefly talked about that. Well, we talked about it at length last week. But I think just as in any industry, you're going to have commission compression. And I think that's going to continue for the foreseeable future. Now, the way it used to work, right? Now, there's no MLS in Manhattan. There hasn't been an MLS in Manhattan in a very, very long time. But this ruling says the seller is no longer allowed to compensate the buy side, right? So let's say if you're selling a $200,000 house, the seller's agent, if they negotiated a 6% commission, and if a buyer's broker brought a buyer to the table, they would split that 50-50, so 3% would go to each side. Now that's not the case anymore. Essentially, really what the lawsuit was about is the collusion piece, right? They were saying that, yeah, realtors will always tell you, oh, commissions are always negotiable. You don't have to agree to the 6%. But what the lawsuit has alleged is that a lot of big-time brokers out there were getting together and conspiring to say, hey, we're going to set the floor of the commissions right around 5 or 6%. And that is very illegal. That's kind of what the whole ruling was about, to kind of put a kibosh to that. But on a go forward, right, if somebody let's say somebody hires me to sell their property, and I say, okay, I'll do it for 2.5%. And if a buyer uses a buyer's broker, the buyer broker does not get compensated. They have to work that compensation out directly with their client. Now, I think that's fair, but I also think that's kind of unrealistic. But the free market will probably work itself out. In some higher priced markets like LA, New York, really in big metropolitan areas, I think this will work out way more than in lower priced markets, like in flyover states where homes are, $200,000, $150,000 and the like. Because if you kind of look at the data, most first-time home buyers are just scraping together the money for the down payment. There is no way on God's green earth, 0% chance, that somebody is going to hire a real estate agent for the buy side and pay them cash, right, or 3% of the whole transaction price. That's just not feasible. It's not going to happen because people can't come up with that amount of money. So there'll probably be like other business models kind of brought up about this. Probably like pay by hour or a contractual basis, to write contracts, do the negotiations and things like that. I think higher price markets may be a little bit more insulated from it, but we'll see. The way things are headed, right, if we kind of use Wall Street as our guide, going back to the 1970s and 1980s, you paid a commission when you would buy and sell stocks. And when you would buy a mutual fund, you would pay these crazy load fees, sometimes 5% on the front end, 5% on the back end, and 2% or 3% per annum is the expense ratio. Now, those were absolutely egregious rip-off fees, and the free markets kind of took care of that, right? You had people like Jack Bogle at Vanguard coming in and essentially making that fee compression a reality on Wall Street. That's why, for the most part, nobody here in this chat, right, I don't want to speak for anybody, but there's probably almost nobody in the chat that is paid to buy or sell a stock, like physically, in a very, very long time. Would you all agree with that? Almost every single broker dealer now, Schwab, Fidelity, especially like a lot of the really, really discount ones like Robinhood, they're all commission-free trades. And the way that they're able to do that is because of payment for order flow, right? So the quants or the algos will scrape a couple pennies from you off the bid, but that's fine because you don't have to pay all of these egregious commissions anymore. So I think so goes that. I think you'll continue to see commission compression across the industry, and hopefully down the line, maybe real estate is more of an online transactional business, but in the residential side, I think that's going to be very difficult because it's very emotional. There's a lot of legal involved. There's a lot of zoning involved. So, maybe some entrepreneurs will figure out how to totally digitize those type of transactions, but there'll always be a market for really high specialized brokers and just brokers in general, but less so. That's kind of my take. Interested to hear what you guys think as we are now at the base of Central Park, headed to the Upper West Side. It's one of my favorite views. Hey, what's up, Ed? This is the Trump International Hotel and Tower. Alex4011 says no commission on the stocks I buy. Sweep accounts make up for that, I think. Other stuff too, I imagine. Yeah, I mean, the real reason why everybody's allowed to trade for free is payment for order flow, right? That's why I kind of had to laugh when all these crazy, meme stalkers or the GameStop people. Remember that during the pandemic? They were like, "Oh my gosh, Robinhood is a fraud. Robinhood is ripping us off." I'm like, dude, they're letting you trade and not really trade. They're letting you gamble for free. Okay, I mean, let's just be honest. Most people who are utilizing, Robinhood or like Webull applications, most of them are not using it for, long-term fundamental investing. They're just like playing around, they're gambling with it, right? So they're all pissed off that, the CEO of Robinhood is selling their order flow to quant shops like Hudson River Trading and Two Sigma and Citadel. But it's like, how else did you think that you could trade and gamble for free? It's because, nothing is free. Let's just say that. Nothing is free in life. But payment for order flow is actually a net positive, in my view, for the retail speculator. Do you want to go back to paying $50 on the buy and the sell? Or do you want to just have the quants and the algos scrape a couple pennies from you off the fill, right? I would say I'd rather have the quants and the algos scrape a couple pennies off of me, because I'm not trying to make a couple pennies. Okay, if you're buying, Apple stock, right, for X amount of dollars and 50 cents, and it gets filled at X amount of dollars and 56 cents, that's not the reason why you're losing money. It's because you bought Apple a few pennies higher. Okay, the reason why you're losing money is because you're gambling on, derivatives and options and all that nasty stuff, in my opinion. All right, guys, West 61st Street, you could see the really luminescent sign of the Empire Hotel, but also a lot of these new condos that are going up. And you can see the beautiful congestion pricing. It's about to hit New York City. Let me make sure I didn't miss any comments. Yeah, Combat Jones says if the product is free, you are the product. Yeah, and a lot of times that's not necessarily a bad thing with you being the product, right? A lot of these free platforms, there's a lot of good for society, but there's always a catch, right? Now, for example, wow, Combat Jones, that's a really good, I love that saying. If the product is free, the product is you. Yeah, and it's not necessarily bad, but I agree. Like, everybody generally is able to use YouTube for free. Like, everybody is watching this live stream totally free. It doesn't cost you anything, right? Now, the reason that business model is able to sustain itself is because of the advertising revenue, right? So if you watch a YouTube video, chances are YouTube will run some sort of an advertisement, right, in front of it. And that's how they make their money. If they didn't have any of that advertising business, you'd probably have to pay monthly for these services. But same thing with Facebook, right? Same thing with Instagram. Same thing with pretty much every single social media platform out there. It's free to create an account. It's free to sign up because they're monetizing the viewers. And again, that's not necessarily a bad thing because we have instantaneous access to pretty much anything we want 24/7, 365. If I have to watch a 10-second advertisement, to get everything for free, okay, it's not that big of a deal for me. Oof, man. The wind is crazy here. Let's try to get out of Columbus Circle. Yeah, BMST says X charges for business perks. Now, what was it called? Twitter Blue, right? And also their Grok, which is like their AI chatbot that's competing with ChatGPT and the like. Those are going to definitely be paid plugins. But generally speaking, a lot of the internet, let's just say that, a lot of the internet we consume is free for a reason, right? Hey, Emmanuel says YouTube will let you pay for YouTube Premium where you could see no ads. Yeah, exactly. So that's an option, right? If you want to pay... How much is YouTube Premium, by the way? Does anybody know? I'm actually not too sure. You would think I would know that. Is it like $15 a month? So it's $15 a month and then you don't have any advertising, right? KSK says YouTube Premium is well worth it. Joe C, thanks for joining. BMST says that's a lie, I pay $14 a month. Well, that's your choice. You don't have to pay $14 a month. Let me just scroll up through some of these comments. Combat Jones says it's 14. It's actually not bad. So, what are the perks, right? For those of you who pay for YouTube Premium, what are the perks that come along with the $15 a month? Is it just no advertising? Or do you get premium content? Do you get to watch movies? Is it kind of like a Netflix thing? Doug Thompson says $13.99. The ads are out of control. Yeah, now some of the advertisements on YouTube, and I think I've said this before, a lot of them seem just to be total nonsense a lot of the times, right? Now maybe that's just because of the content that I consume, so I get served up a certain, amount of advertising, which there's a downside of consuming a lot of financial content on YouTube because you get served up, like ridiculous. I almost call them cartoons. I've nicknamed these financial ads cartoons because that's exactly what they are. How many times have I seen the ad? It's like, do you want to, accelerate your journey to quitting your 9-to-5 job so you can trade the London daybreak strategy, or all this nonsense? And I'm like, oh my God, like this is like Cartoonville. It's some of the, the YouTube advertising is so cringe. If I were making those YouTube ads, I would honestly feel embarrassed to do that, because at the end of the day, they're targeted. If the ad shows to 1,000 people, there's going to be about, oh, look at this beagle. Beagle looks old too. It looks like a 10-year-old, maybe 9 or 10-year-old beagle. Now the problem is, if the advertisement is showed to 1,000 people, there's going to be like 2 or 3 people that, maybe in a bad spot in life, right? Really down on their luck, and they're desperate and they're looking for something just to get a break, right? And those are the type of people who get suckered into those kind of schemes that will buy this, $1,000 course of somebody claiming that, they found like the ultimate. Let me just make sure I don't get hit by these cars. Yeah, we made it. That they found the ultimate strategies for, making money online, or some nonsense. So those are a lot of the advertisements I get on YouTube. And I would argue that the vast majority of advertising on the platform is nonsense, particularly if you're consuming a lot of financial content, unfortunately. 99 says congestion pricing starting soon. Yeah, unfortunately. Well, fortunately for me, I don't have a vehicle, but I'm going to wind up paying for that one way or the other. All New Yorkers are going to have to pay the congestion price, whether we like it or not. That's kind of my view. Because you got to understand something, right? Like, look at this HVAC guy, for example, in this truck. Platinum, I believe they're a big HVAC contractor. They're going to get banged with this congestion fee every day. And you don't think the CEO of that company is going to say, okay, let's draw up a way that we can offload that fee to consumers. So if they go on a call and they get hit with the congestion fee, there's probably going to be something on their invoice that says, convenience surcharge, $10. Boom, that's going to get billed to you. So all the repairmen, all the plumbers, all the HVAC, all the electrical guys, all the delivery people that bring us our food and our services that are coming from the outer boroughs, that are coming from Queens, that are coming from Brooklyn, the Bronx, even that are coming from Long Island, they are going to pass those fees on to the consumers 1,000%. I would. If I had a small business and I had a fleet of 10 to 15 trucks and I'm coming in and out of the city every single day to perform service work, that could be like an extra $10,000 a year. That's a lot of money. So, not a big fan of the congestion pricing, as you could probably see. I don't know. That's actually a really good question. Ed Dunkel says, what percentage of the traffic is commercial traffic? I honestly don't know, but that would be a really good fact to look up. Actually not too sure. Hey, the short guy. Yeah, Josie says, or coming from New Jersey too. Doug Thompson says, Tom, I have an iPass 2, which is an easy pass. However, New York residents will get a discount on their tolls. Not all easy passes are created equal. Interesting. Chev is here from Chicago. What's going on? NBA Elias' only TV channel worth paying for is Bloomberg. I get 93 over-the-air channels for nothing. Yeah, cable is definitely in structural decline. Many people I know that still pay for cable only pay for cable to get like Fox News or something like that, or CNN, or now these horses are headed towards DeWitt Clinton Park. You guys remember about, I think this was last week, I took you all the way to the west side of Manhattan. That's where they're headed, those horse stables over there. Hey, Schuler, good to see you. Thanks so much. I know, Doug Thompson's is when I visited a month ago. Every other car is a commercial truck. Because there's a lot of construction, there's a lot of business activity that goes on in Manhattan. Latrell says, hey Tom, as an experienced investor, what do you think about the meme coin hype? I can't seem to get my head around it. Well, number one, thank you for the flattery. I wouldn't say I'm a very experienced investor. Appreciate the comment though. Yeah, I think it's a little strange, right? I think it's a little strange. And the problem that I see with all this meme, the meme stocks and the coins too. Now, I mean, some crazy stuff has been going on in the cryptocurrency realm, with people just creating these cryptocurrencies out of nothing, right? And listing them on an exchange like Huobi, or what are those other, crypto exchanges? I mean, there's a ton of them. Like, is Bittrex still around? I don't even know if Bittrex is still around anymore. Anyway, but it seems just like people are gambling, right? Speculating on just random stuff that has no intrinsic value. And that culture has spilled over into the equity market with, buying stocks for memes. And I have a short-term prediction. Yeah, exactly. Combat Jones is the Joe Biden. I think there's one like Taylor Swift or something. And a lot of kids and people are just speculating on these meme stocks. And I think the SEC is going to crack down on this in a big way, because, I mean, you cannot tell me that that's not soliciting securities. I mean, how could somebody just go online, right, create just a simple ERC20 token, name it a funny name, list it on the market, and then offload all of your bags to somebody else and you make a ton of money? I mean, those are textbook, classic pump and dump scams, right? And they're running rampant in the market. So I don't know. I think that's one of the main reasons why Gary Gensler, who is the SEC, I should say the head of the SEC, is kind of really going after the Ethereum Foundation hard right now. I think they launched a lawsuit against the Ethereum Foundation. Now, they made a ruling on Bitcoin. They said that Bitcoin is property. So that's kind of in the clear. But yeah, I would kind of generally stay away from all of the meme nonsense. Back during COVID, it was the GameStop, right? It was the AMC. And these people are rather delusional. I mean, there's people still holding and buying these garbage stocks just because they think they're going to stick it to the man and, they're going to teach Wall Street a lesson. And I think that's really rather delusional, to be honest. I think that's really delusional. But if you guys are enjoying the live stream so far, feel free to leave a like on the video and click the subscribe button if you're new. We do these walkabouts pretty much every single night in the illustrious gun-free zone of Times Square, starting at 8:30. We'd love to have you here. We would just do a walk around. We discuss current events, the financial markets. Love to have you here. NBA Elias says, Tom, as of 2023, more than 120,000 commercial trucks enter and exit New York City every year. Around 200 million tons of freight move in and out of the boroughs every year. I believe it. Brad says, I still don't understand the AMC and GameStop Robinhood for sure. Now, I have a short-term prediction. Tomorrow, right, I know we spoke about it numerous times throughout this live stream, but Donald Trump's Truth Social is the deal is officially going to go through. The DWAC SPAC was up about 34% today, and tomorrow it's going to hit the exchange under the ticker symbol DJT. So that is going to turn into a meme stock, I think. So I'm very curious to see some of the volume profiles that are going to come out of that name tomorrow. It could be absolutely crazy. A real problem though, everybody, which, not to dump on Robinhood too hard, Robinhood essentially gamified investing. It's kind of like a video game. If anybody's ever been on the Robinhood application, now when it first came out, I actually had an account, and I remember that very specifically, because when you would buy and sell a stock, the app would literally like blow confetti in your face, and it would make noises, and it was like a casino. It was like very strange. And I see a very similar relationship right now with a lot of social media people, right, that are getting paid to promote these online casino gambling websites and the sports betting websites. I see a very close relationship with that similar hierarchy or scheme. Right? I'm not using the word scheme in necessarily a negative way, just describing the structure, to applications like Webull and Robinhood, with the referral links, the referral business, to say, hey, if you, sign up to this exchange, using my link, you're going to get free stocks and all this stuff. So it gamifies it, and it, by default, it teaches inappropriate investing habits to kids. But on the other hand, it's like, okay, maybe this will get more people interested in the investment business. They'll lose their shirt, they'll lose a bunch of money while they're young, but they'll learn their lesson, and then they'll kind of graduate into being interested in the financial markets and trying to do things more appropriately. So, it's not all negative. I don't want to seem like I'm, really going hammer time on Robinhood, but I do see a concern there, right? Between, number one, all of these online sports betting right from your phone that's being marketed to the youth, and, applications like Robinhood, I think. All right, everybody, this is Times Square Church. You're looking right at the full moon, too. John Southern is here. What's up, John? Brad, I do not know the story of Joe. 58 says Truth Social, more like Lies Unlimited. I don't know. I've never been on the platform, but I think I'm going to create a Truth Social account just to see what it's all about. Look around. Now, I agree that it's probably like an echo chamber of just conservatives on top of conservatives. And I am a conservative. But I do try my best to have a very open mind and see other perspectives. I don't have an account, but now that this thing's going public, I think we need to be curious and try it out. So I will try it out. I don't know if I'll post anything there, but I'm going to create an account and try it out for sure. This is Barclays Investment Bank. And you have the Stardust Diner on the corner. Matthew says, Tom, when are you coming to Toronto? I really want to come to Toronto this summer. Haven't been to Canada in a very long time. I love Canada, and I want to go to Montreal. I want to go to Toronto again. It's a very fun city. So hopefully this summer. I'm trying to look for the comment about the annual revenue or the revenue estimates for Truth Social. 99 says Portnoy from Barstool Sports organized the meme stock. I don't know about that. All right, West 51st Street and Broadway. The city seems quiet tonight, doesn't it, everybody? Is it just me, or does it seem quiet tonight? I guess it's Monday, but things seem pretty quiet. Tim's has only made $3 million and lost $49 million. What do you mean, only made $3 million and lost $49 million? You're saying $3 million in revenue and lost $40 million? Interesting. I'll do some research on it. Now, I really hope at some point when X is firing on all cylinders, I hope Elon takes X public again, or Twitter X. I really do. There was some data that came out talking about advertising ROI. And this really, really surprised the hell out of me, because we've been talking about old data, apparently. Now, back in the day before Elon took over, the return on investment, or the ROI, of advertising on Twitter was the worst out of all of the different social networks. All of them. Obviously, the best were platforms like running Facebook ads or Instagram ads, things like that. And Twitter ads were horrible. But now, according to some data that came out, it's the best ROI now. And I don't know the exact reason why, but if I had to guess, I believe it's because of the large pivot, or at least they're trying to pivot pretty hard towards video. It's very difficult to get a high conversion rate on an advertisement that's only text, because it's not visual, it's not pretty, it doesn't entice you to click. But if you're watching a video, right, or you're scrolling through some photos, and then you see an advertisement in the mix, that's going to be a little bit easier to convert. So we'll see. Maybe advertising revenue will balloon on X after the whole advertising boycott. I think the vast majority of advertisers have returned to the X platform. I know, Kurt Flirt says it does seem a little quiet, but it's been a very strange day. Wow. Interesting, Brad. Let me take a screenshot of that. I'm going to do some research on that. John, copy that. So we're headed down Broadway directly into the belly of the beast here, Times Square. Now, a little bit off topic. I think I mentioned this before, but I want to give you all a really good recommendation for a podcast. If anybody's familiar with the legendary investor Howard Marks, one of my favorite podcasts that just recently came out is called Rite of Passage. Now, there was an episode where David Parental, who's the host of this podcast, interviews Howard Marks, right? Legendary investor, known for his very lengthy kind of market outlook and research reports that he's been writing since he was in college. You guys got to check this out. If you want to be a more effective communicator and a more effective writer in general, that is a very, very good podcast. Highly, highly recommended listen. And Howard Marks kind of goes into saying that, you know, one of the ways to evolve and become a really, really good investor is to communicate very effectively and get in the habit of writing constantly, right? Even if it's just your thoughts. Oh, that scared me over there. They're just welding. But he's like, even if it's just writing down your thoughts, if you can get in a systematic process and work a systematic framework for writing down your thoughts, writing down your ideas, and explaining your thesis on paper, in writing, where you can make it concise, you are going to do extremely, extremely well. It's kind of like what Bill Ackman advises as well. So check it out. It's really, really good. Really good podcast. Rite of Passage, Howard Marks. All right, let's try to get away from Jay-Z here. Walking around the city so much has totally ruined that song for me. I can't stand that song. I feel like it's a potential form of torture. Wow, it actually seems like there's a lot of people out here. This is pretty much the heart of Times Square, everybody. You may have the internet go out. There's so many people here. We'll see. Daniel H. says, Tom, what do you think about Lockheed Martin constructing commercial planes? I'm not too sure. Why did they announce that they're going to construct commercial planes? I would assume they would do a good job, right? Big government contractor. I'd be interested to see how the share prices are trading of Lockheed Martin and Raytheon. I haven't checked them in a long time. Now, with all the craziness that's going on in the world, with the war with Russia and Ukraine, and now all the conflict that's going on in the Middle East, in addition to this horrible, disgusting terrorist attack on Russia, you know, I don't know who's at play there, but I can guarantee one thing. The defense contractors and the military-industrial complex is definitely happy about that. All right, we won't talk about the military-industrial complex here. That'll be for our second channel. Combat Jones says, I'll take a stealth bomber for personal use. For sure, I'd take a stealth bomber for personal use as well. 1,000%. All right, let's continue to cross down southbound. Now, who actually manufactures the stealth bomber? Is that Lockheed Martin? I don't even know. Well, let me pull off to the side. Peter says Lockheed L1011 was one of the best jumbo jets made, in my opinion. It was a dream to fly in. I like it better than the 747. RB says Lockheed is not new to manufacturing commercial planes. TriStar and others. I'm taking screenshots of these because I'm not a big aviation guy. Someone says Grumman, Northrop Grumman, got it. Now Grumman has a pretty big location, what's it called? On Long Island. A little road rage going on. All right, let's try to make our way out of here. Oops, sorry. All right, let's cross and get out on this side.
Yes.
Now, the drinking water, I believe, is some of the worst in the entire world. Well, excuse me, in the entire country on Long Island. I'm not sure if anybody knew that. So if you're buying a house on Long Island, don't drink the tap water. Highly, highly advised against it. You should always buy like bottled water or Poland spring water. You should never, ever, ever drink the groundwater on Long Island. It's interesting because New York City, right, has some of the cleanest drinking water in terms of the tap water. At least that's what we're told. But it's almost the exact opposite. It's the polar opposite as you head out into Nassau and Suffolk County. Junior says real live or pre-recorded. This is a pre-recorded video. We're just kind of walking around and hanging out. All right, let's go back to 8th and make a left. Looks like you have a show coming out here. I wonder what's coming out. Let's see. Music box. It's kind of strange just seeing these two lone buildings here. Now this site, everybody, is going to be the brand new Extel building. 750 8th Avenue, I believe it's called. We briefly spoke about this 2 live streams ago, but for those of you who are new, Extel is one of the most famous, best real estate developers in New York City. And they were responsible for pioneering New York City's Billionaires Row. So you have 157 West 57th Street, you have Central Park Tower, and now they just really broke ground on what's going to be another super tall right here on 8th Avenue, pretty much right next to Restaurant Row, and it's going to be called The Torch. Last week they just released some preliminary stock photos, and you guys have got to see what this building is going to look like. I'll put the photos on the screen here in a moment, but check it out. Let me know if you guys can see this. That is going to be the building that is going to be constructed directly behind us. It is called The Torch. It's going to have about 850 hotel rooms. There's going to be a crazy drop ride at the top and a massive observation deck. Again, I believe the address is 850 8th Avenue. You could Google it for the exact address. I think that's it. But the building name is going to be called The Torch. Incredible. I can't even honestly picture how that's going to look. But the good news is, as we do these live streams, we're pretty much going to see this building being constructed. Now, these three buildings are holdouts. That's going to stay. So you're going to have this massive super tall all the way in the sky. And you're just going to have these three pre-war buildings. One of them is a gift shop. And the other one is an Irish pub. So sandwiched all along the sides and above these three holdouts is going to be the next mega super tall in Manhattan, constructed by Extel. Pretty crazy. Let's check out the construction site again. Cash only says they can't possibly approve that design. Oh, dude, it's under construction, my friend. 740 8th Avenue, excuse me. 740 8th. Here it is. All right, let's take a vote in the chat. Thumbs up or thumbs down on the new design of the Torch building. Do you guys like it, not like it? What do you think? I don't know. I'm on the fence. Perhaps once we see it built, maybe it'll grow on me a little bit, but I don't know. Hey, Sean D. Good to see you. Joe E says, Tom, my family lived on Long Island, and you could taste the difference in the water. The water in Ohio is very bad as well. Mike C says, I live in Suffolk County, and the tap water is just fine. All right, well, good luck. Someone says it doesn't fit. Brad says you think it's amazing. Maybe it'll grow on me. Some people are saying thumbs down. Sometimes when you see things so often, it becomes normal and the architecture kind of grows on you. I remember when they had the original plans for 157 West 57th Street, everybody hated the building. There was so much outcry about how ugly it was going to be, and I actually love it now. So, yeah, right outside of Times Square is going to be this massive building, The Torch. Kind of crazy. Hey, Hang with Mark Mom, good to see you. Hopefully you're well. Hang with Mark Mom, any thoughts about the new issue that's going to be officially trading tomorrow under the ticker symbol DJT, Truth Social, that SPAC they've been working on for a long time? Now we're currently walking down New York City's Restaurant Row, and we're going to be going to the Hell's Kitchen neighborhood. Yeah, someone says it looks very Las Vegas. I agree. particularly if they're going to put some sort of attraction ride at the top. I don't know how that's going to turn out, but we'll see. Yeah, those 3 buildings will be preserved there. You're right. They are a holdout. That's going to be so interesting looking. MBA Elias says the physics and math needed to design that building is unreal. Maybe AI helped. I mean, I'm just super impressed about the Steinway Tower. I'm not too sure the streams do it justice, but if you're standing directly under the Steinway Tower, which is 111 West 57th Street, I mean, the thing, it just looks like it's going to fall over. I don't really know how else to explain it. It's so tall and it's so thin. I mean, engineering is amazing, right? Also, the really amazing architects on the building, too. Dutchman says, do you like the skinny, super tall buildings in New York City? I love them. I love all of them. I'm obsessed with them. I love every building on Billionaires Row. From 432 Park to 157 to Central Park Tower, Steinway, 220 Central Park South. I love them. This is Becco. I know, I saw that. Kathleen says a private developer is planning on building the tallest building in the United States in Oklahoma City. I saw that on Twitter. Interesting. Now, here's a question, though. If this really goes through and the tallest building in the United States is going to be built in Oklahoma City, my question is, like, what is the point of it? Because there's, like, no view, right? I mean, isn't the point of, let's say, going up to the top of Rockefeller Center or the top of the Empire State Building or One World Trade Center, isn't the purpose of that is to see, like, an amazing view of all the skyscrapers and the skyline of the city? But if you're just in the middle of Oklahoma City, right, and you're so much higher than everything else, what are you really going to see, in a sense? I don't know, maybe that's a bad take, but who knows? All right, I gotta plug the phone in. Give me 1 minute. But if you guys are enjoying the live stream so far tonight, feel free to leave a like on the video and subscribe to the channel if you're new. Brad says, Tom, your favorite building is 432 though. I thought it was pretty... no. So my favorite building on Billionaires Row is the original one. I kind of go back and forth with these, but I would say 157 is my favorite one because it kicked off the trend. It's a trendsetter. I don't know. I just really like... I love being inside 157. It's an amazing building. I love it. Give me a sec. Peter says there are views outside of New York City. No, I totally get that, but if you have a skyline that is so small, right, and then you just have one random super tall building, if you go up past the 50th floor, it's like you can't see anything. Chicago, maybe, right? Hang with Mark Mom says we're muted. Let me see. I took out the mic. Just a lag spot. Got it.
Yeah, on your resume, on your resume.
Hey, Austin City Limits, good to see you. Now, as we know, it's going to be a very shortened trading week on Wall Street. There is no trading. Fixed income markets and the equity market is closed on Friday in observation of Good Friday. So happy Easter weekend to everybody who celebrates. But we're actually going to be having some pretty heavy and important economic data coming out on Friday. The Fed's preferred inflation gauge, the PCE index, is going to be coming out. And then we're also going to hear from the Fed chair again. Jerome Powell is set to speak at 11:30 on Friday. Hey, Combat Jones haven't donated yet, so thanks for doing this, Tom. Have you read the classic novel A Man in Full by Tom Wolfe? You'd love it. Let me take a screenshot of that. Combat Jones, thank you so much. And I will buy the book. I have not read it, but I'll check it out. Appreciate you very much. Thank you for the support. Oh yeah, that's right. How is that going to work with the Tornado Alley? I saw NBA Live's I don't know. I mean, maybe the engineers figured out something. I just don't know how that building is going to drive the business needed to sustain. I don't know. I heard it's going to be a hotel, maybe some residential, maybe some office, but who knows? I mean, how are you going to command the prices, the price tag? I'm not an expert on Oklahoma City real estate, but Francis just said, did you see the New York City squatter story in Queens? Yeah, that's a really big issue in New York. You know, it's really unfortunate because the squatter situation really doesn't affect the wealthy in the city. And this is kind of a point that I try to keep hammering home, is that oftentimes the local government here in New York City will try to pass laws and legislation in order to help the lower class and the middle class people, but it actually almost all the time winds up doing the exact opposite, right? Particularly in this instance with the squatters' rights. Now, you can get squatters out, but it's a very, very tough, difficult, and laborious process in New York City. It could take you several months, right? Sometimes even over a year to get squatters out. And, if you're a big landlord, if you're really wealthy, you really don't deal with those problems as much. But if you're a mom and pop landlord, right, let's say if you own 2 or 3 buildings in the city, 2 family homes, and if you get hit with a squatter, I mean, that could be the difference of you keeping that property and you losing that property, right? So it's really unfortunate. So hopefully there'll be legislation that's passed to take away those squatters' rights. Because, I mean, if you're just starting out in real estate, in the New York City tri-state area, and you want to buy a duplex or a triplex to try to, build a little bit of a net worth, that's just another hurdle that you have to come over. Because, after 30 days, they have claim right to your property. And it's very, very expensive. You know, I've had friends dealing with squatters. They have to do cash for keys. And, you know, by the time you get them out, you know, between the legal fees and the cash for keys, I mean, you've spent, you know, 30 grand, 20 grand. Zozo Bob's Tom, Florida just eliminated squatters' rights without going through eviction. That's good. Now, speaking of Florida, I think the state of Florida is introducing legislation. This is some breaking news. They're introducing some legislation that requires minors to have parent permission to create social media accounts. Did anybody see that? I believe that's what the news was. In the state of Florida, if this goes through, or I think it did go through, you have to have parental permission to create these accounts. To which I said, I thought that was always the case, right? If anybody signed up for a Facebook account when they were in middle school, didn't it always say, are you 18? And you would just lie and say, yeah, of course I'm 18. I mean, I remember doing that in middle school. You know, going on Facebook.com and there's a little thing that says, hey, are you 18 years old? And then you just lie about it. I don't know. Anyway, I think it's a good thing. Could also be good and bad, but, you know, do we want more government overreach? You know, is this too invasive? You know, is this the government telling us to do too much? But then again, I don't have kids. And, you know, reading a lot of the horror stories online about, you know, the cyberbullying and just, you know, kids are so impressionable, right? So if they're watching propaganda on TikTok of, you know, who knows, God knows what, right? Essentially getting brainwashed. That should be something that the parents should know about. But then on the flip side, everybody, it's kind of like, look, at the end of the day, you should be kind of watching over your child, and that should be on you. It shouldn't be up to the government to tell you, hey, you need to be watching what your kids are looking at on the internet. So I'm kind of going back and forth on that one, but what do you guys think? Good or bad that Florida is now requiring parental permission? Yeah, Justin, this is just another thing the kids will forge without the parents' permission? Maybe. Wow, Peter says Florida bans social media for kids under 14. Parental permission for 15 and 16. Cash says it's good. Solo Flowers is a good move. Levistad says nanny state. Yeah, I think this one's walking like a fine line. That should be up to the going to ban children under the age of 14 from even using it. So, I mean, I don't think the government should be able to tell us what to do. But I could see if the requirement is of parental consent. I get that. But to ban something outright, I mean, that doesn't really seem too American. But at the end of the day, you know, the data does show that the depression rates among young people are the highest levels ever. Voltron says, I think it's great. Most parents don't know what they're doing anyway. For sure. Hang with Mark Mom says this is going to be something that's unenforceable. Yeah, I mean, kids are creative, right? And again, I don't have kids. I'm assuming many of you do, so I don't have to like preach to the choir here. Kids are very creative, and they're gonna, you know, they have access to the internet. I mean, it's kind of like the cat's out the bag in this one. You know, the genie is out of the bottle. Kids are going to be doing whatever they want on the internet, and it's almost impossible to stop it. I think this is just where it comes good parenting, right? You know, if you're involved in your kid's life and you're teaching them right from wrong, well, then they're going to turn out good. But unfortunately, some parents are not involved and they let the devices dictate, you know, and raise their kids, you know, and if they're just sitting and watching TikTok or whatever all day, they could potentially be getting brainwashed with craziness. Jazzy Fresh says, I live in Florida, 14 and under. 10-4. Ken Brockton says, increasing authoritarianism. I think I agree, Ken, honestly, because it's like, you know, this is the first step. It happens in small little steps, right? So we gotta make sure we walk kind of a fine line here. You know, first it's banning, I don't know. It's gonna be interesting to see how this plays out. This Route 66 bar and grill is actually pretty good. Hispanic causing panic. Says that's why it's good to keep them busy or interested in something they will like that's not bad for them. Sports is a good example. I agree. Yeah, it's all about balance at the end of the day.
This is why I'm sending you on that date.
Social media is a tool that can be used for either good or bad, right? You could either use it as, you know, a networking tool to learn new skills, things like that. However, if you're a kid, you're probably, you know, I mean, I was a kid once, everybody was a kid once. You're probably watching nonsense and can lead to craziness, so we'll see. I mean, governments across the globe are really cracking down on big tech. You know, we just talked about the DOJ really reaming into Apple. Also Alphabet. I think there's going to be more and more and more antitrust litigation lawsuits coming down the pike. Cons. Kids these days just need to read a book. It's enforced in our house. Yeah, you know, I think that just comes down to the parenting for sure. Good to see you, Tariq. We're all the way on 57th Street and 9th Avenue.
That's good.
Where this Justino's Pizza is, this used to be a diner.
That's a nice place, though.
John's, or the Seinfeld Diner, that's all the way up. I think on 100 and... It's in the hundreds, 106th Street. Tom's Diner. Now, where this Birch Coffee is right here, this place used to be amazing. It used to be called the Lunchbox. That place was fantastic. Unfortunately, closed down. But you get a nice mix of the pre-war buildings with the fire escapes here amongst the huge super talls. Coming up by Fordham University. This is the Flame Diner. This place is actually really good. I go here quite often. Let's see if we can go on the roof at Fordham. Maybe it's still closed for the winter. Ryan says, how do you feel about the girls getting punched in the face in the city? I didn't even hear about that. But how do I feel about that? I guess I don't feel too good about it. Dutchman says, do you walk and stream often? Yeah, we do this every single night, starting at 8:30. So if you're new here and you'd like to join us tomorrow, just click the subscribe button and make sure the notification bell is selected, and you'll be notified when we go live. All right, here it is, Fordham. You can see the other congestion pricing thing here too. I think it's still closed. Graduate School of Business Education, Social Service, and School of Law. Now, you take the elevator to the upper plaza. I mean, that's a really, really cool place up there. I used to come here all the time in college. I went to college right behind this building. And this will take you all the way up to Lincoln Center. Might as well take a quick pit stop to Lincoln Center. Hey, NAV 407, good to see you. We're crossing northbound on West 61st Street.
I mean, I'm a huge.
Stands to save folks who make just a living wage.
Where are affordable places for them to live when commuting distances? Well, I think a lot of people don't realize, or maybe they forget, that there's a lot of people living in New York City that are living under the poverty line. Like a lot. So it's not just like there's no poor people in New York City and there's no middle class people in New York City. There's a lot. And people live in Manhattan that make a little bit less money, right? You know, people live in the boroughs that make a little bit less money. So there's people here that not everybody here is a big multi-millionaire. There's all types of people. There's rich people, there's poor people, there's middle class people. There's all types of people. But usually for lower rent, you would look to the boroughs, Nassau, Suffolk County, New Jersey. Sometimes even people commute from Connecticut, upstate New York. All right, back at Lincoln Center. Hey, Razzle Dazzle 786, what's up? Good to see you. Hopefully you're doing well. Here we are at the main fountain at Lincoln Center. All right. Well, everybody, we've been going for 2 hours, and I think this will be a good place to end it. We covered a lot. Again, shortened trading week on Wall Street. Friday, markets are closed in observation of Good Friday, but we are going to get the PCE numbers out. We'll hear from the Federal Reserve Chairman at 11:30 a.m. on Friday. We'll talk about that all and more right back here tomorrow night at 8:30. So if you enjoyed the stream, feel free to leave a like on the video. Click the subscribe button if you're new. And I will see all of you right back here live from New York City tomorrow. Thanks so much. Austin City Limits, Lemonade, Cash, appreciate it. Hawaii, Razzle Dazzle 786, Dale, John, Mark Francis, Chris B, Mike Skate TV, what's going on? Thanks so much. Al Baker, Brad. I'll see you all tomorrow night. Take care.